Welcome back to Coffee Talk. These are real stories that are told by real people. And this episode feels really big and really important to me. It feels like a moment that we need to have. We talk a lot about community in the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem. This episode leans into alignment, education, and what happens when leaders choose to collaborate over choosing to compete with each other. Joining me for this conversation today is Molly Fuchsel. Molly is the co-founder of PartnerIn. She and her partner, Liz Hallen, founded a partner-centered education conference called Vibe, which is built to serve the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem across all disciplines. What I admire about Molly and Liz both is that they didn't just create another event for us to go to. They created a space intentionally designed to help partners sharpen, connect, and to grow together. Peter Fidler also joins me for this episode. He is the incoming president of the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, or IAMCP. IAMCP has a long-standing reputation of being the backbone of structured partner-to-partner engagement in the Microsoft ecosystem. Under Peter's leadership, the focus is clear: education, collaboration, and strengthening the partner voice. I think you're really going to enjoy this one. I am so grateful to have both of you, Molly and Peter, here. Before we get into any of my questions, welcome to Coffee Talk. How are you walking into this conversation today?
So I'm walking in with just to have a nice conversation and just to, I've been president of the IAMCP. It only took me 3 years to say that properly, but I've been president for about 6 weeks now, and I feel like I've been drinking out of a fire hose, and I just love to hear, Molly, what she has to say and how she's seeing what they call the channel. The channel's an overused word, but it's really about the channel and how her perspective and just having a really good conversation about that.
Peter. That's so sweet. I have to say, I'm walking into this with gratitude. I'm so excited to sit down with both of you. I've had the opportunity to get to know Kate very well over the last couple of years, and always so grateful to be a guest on Coffee Talks. But Peter and I have recently been connected, and it's been such a joy. It's been so fun to watch what he's done in only 6 weeks. The other day, when Peter and I were talking together, he said, gosh, I feel like we're behind. I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know how much you've done already in 6 weeks? You are making moves. So, Kate, I think you had the perfect word for this conversation today in your introduction, which was, this is a moment, and I am here for it. This is
Exactly.
great.
Yeah, I think what makes this episode so special is this isn't about two separate missions. It's about what happens when missions align and we move forward together. So before we talk about the future and where we're going, I want to just take pause and understand the why. So Molly, just to start us off, what gap did you see in the ecosystem that led to PartnerIn?
Great question. The gap that we saw was peer-to-peer partner education. So there are so many wonderful organizations, and I'll even say IAMCP, Peter and his wonderful team are doing a fantastic job of a certain type of education for the Microsoft partners in the ecosystem. Where we felt there was a strong gap was that peer-to-peer. And I have to say, plug to the IAMCP meetings, because you will get that if you attend your local IAMCP meeting and chapter, you will get that chance to collaborate. But for us specifically, we wanted to take that a step further and turn it into an actual dedicated event, get you out of your home zone, bring you to South Padre Island or bring you to likely Salt Lake City in September, and just get you dedicated to those conversations of partners across the stack, the product stack that you don't normally engage with or interact with, either locally or because you work in a different product line. So we're excited about that. And we've really learned a lot coming out of Vibe 1.0, which Kate had the pleasure of joining us. And we were super, super grateful. And before we know it, we'll be at the 2.0 event. So very excited to keep building on what we discovered at that first event. Very excited also to continue to strengthen the relationship with the whole IAMCP leadership board as well.
Yeah. Peter, from IAMCP's perspective, why has partner education always been so foundational?
That's where you need to start with. It's about educating the partners and making sure they have a good foundation. They need something to build upon. It's really interesting. Again, I said a few moments ago, like drinking out of a fire hose. Well, that's how the partners feel with all the changes that are occurring in the industry, is drinking out of a fire hose and how do I keep up? But you need that good foundation. You need to have the certifications, and you need to be able to not only apply what you've learned, but to whatever industry you're in, whether it's in legal, financial, real estate, nonprofit, in any of these industries. You need to be able to think outside of what you've learned and how do you apply it to that particular industry. But you can't do that without a good foundation. And the foundation, there are many ways of getting that foundation.
So, when you're looking at the ecosystem today, where do you think partners are struggling the most? I certainly have an answer, but I'm turning that question to the two of you first. What are you seeing?
So I guess I'll start again. It's overwhelmness. I mean, that's really is. I think it was a couple of years ago that Microsoft brought Copilot into the ecosystem without any warning. It was sort of like, here it is, and both customer and partner was supposed to figure it out at the same time. And a lot of partners felt like they were sort of playing catch up for a while because they didn't know what to do with this thing. It was everybody knew about AI and ChatGPT and all those, but now you have something that's built into Office 365, and partners were just overwhelmed and they were upset too. I heard from a lot of partners, all right, now we've got ambushed. We got ambushed into learning this new tool, and how do we do this? You talked about foundation of education. There was nothing there. There are all these, okay, read this, we're going to have all these training sessions and you're learning about it at the same time as your customers are learning about it and they're asking you for it. And all of a sudden you have to put everything else aside and learn about this new technology in, a very short period of time.
I think Peter really, that's a great word for it. Overwhelmingness is exactly it. I will say, just totally agreeing with him that it was just put in front of you, Copilot, go. Just like I felt like Power Platform was, go. Now it's agents, go. Now it's Frontier Partner, go. Like it's just been a lot. And there is this feeling of, if you're not in the cool kids club of whatever this new release is, you're out. Like you're in or you're out. And I think partners are really lost. And what used to be a very competitive environment, I would say, in the ecosystem, now it's truly just like Peter and I, and the whole premise of this conversation today is, if you're not starting to make some good friends as a partner in this space, you're really, really, it's going to be harder to get into that cool kids club. I do think that collaboration over competition is so important right now for all of this speediness of everything that AI and everything that Microsoft has been throwing at our partners to not only learn, but become experts in overnight.
I kind of remember when that big bomb was dropped and where where the future was. And it was like, there were some very strong words that were said. They were like, if you haven't jumped on this bandwagon, you won't be here in 18 months, in 2 years. Those are big words. And I think, and I was there when that was said in the room. And I think, hearing that bomb drop and now, fast forwarding almost a year from that messaging, I think partners are kind of figuring out how to help each other, because at first it was like just survive. But now I do see a lot of that coming together, and partners coming together and helping each other and learning. I'm hearing a lot of complexity that is just increasing everywhere, which I think, to both of your points, makes education not optional, but completely strategic. And the only way through this is for everyone to lean on each other and for us to start learning from each other. Now, that said, there are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of conferences, user groups, ISVs, alliances, all in dynamics. And sometimes it can feel fragmented, right? Like everybody's kind of doing their own thing. What does unity realistically look like in a partner ecosystem that is this large?
Unity just means that everybody's looking at the same goal. The goal is the customer and satisfaction of the customer, whoever that might be. So however you get there, if you want to get out alone, you'll probably fail. If you want to get there by partnering, you'll be much more successful. Jay McBain talked about the power of partnerships and how it's so important that the average customer had 4 or 5 different partners in there supporting them. And it's absolutely true. You need to have that many partners in an account, whether it's the accounting system, their CRM, their just regular operations, email, etc. You're not going to have somebody who's an expert in every one of those technologies. So it's about how do you play nice in the sandbox in terms of partnering? But there needs to be trust. And part of what the IMCP is, there's a code of conduct, and then everybody's aligned with that. So there's trust that's implied and written, and that's how you move forward, is working with people who you know and trust to build the most powerful solution for your customer.
That's a really great point to make, the trust aspect that has to be there. Molly, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that was a perfectly put response for our partners. That was beautifully said, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter added, yes.
Molly, I'll turn this next question to you. Where do PartnerIn and IAMCP naturally complement each other?
Great question. I think I'm going to remember this, Peter. That was such an insightful way to put this. It's sharing the same goal, the unity of our two organizations. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to come. I think we've only started to explore the surface. There's such a welcoming group. Liz and I, my business partner, Liz Hallen, of course, for those of you who haven't had an opportunity to meet her, she's lovely. She and I were so welcomed by the IMUCP. And I think that would have always been the intention before, but I do want to call out the new board and just with everything they have going on. And Peter has great goals for that group. They always stop to make collaborations and new partnerships in the channel. And that's the kind of people that Liz and I naturally gravitate towards when we want to make a collaborative alliance of sorts. So it feels easy. Everyone's doing their part, which is always such a rewarding relationship. So I think just the natural fit came from the fact that we both kind of share some of those core values of the importance of building partnerships. And then, yes, I think what's exciting is Liz and I do, of course, have more of that localized group in a user sense, a user group locally in our historical background, and having the opportunity to help and support the IMACP and their goals with not only their localized groups, but as it funnels up to the national and all the Americas, like Peter and his group are working with. We just naturally understand how difficult that can be, how incredibly precious it is to have those localized groups led by volunteers. So all of that, we just have a deep understanding of how much work gets put into that from Peter and his team. And anything we can do to support that just helps our partners get more in alignment to, again, those greater goals that Peter just so well spoke of.
And I'll add one thing to that as kind of a third party, like just kind of moderating this conversation, asking these questions, and a volunteer in the community in a very big way. I stepped in and volunteer and serve in this community because I believe in what I see. I believe in the partnership that I see. I believe in the community that I see. It is growing and changing. Being a part of IAMCP, I'm just like screaming from the mountaintops the value that is here, and have my pins, and I'm ready to like talk about it anywhere I go. And I had a banner at Vibe, like I'm showing up and ready to talk about it and recruit, because we need each other. We need each other more now than ever. And so that kind of leads me into my next question for both of you. What happens to the ecosystem when organizations collaborate instead of compete?
That's a great question. It's all about collaboration. One of the things that is real important with any organization is, how do you become a better organization? How do you make a difference? You could go at it alone, again, what I said previously. But if you really want to make a big difference, you collaborate with partners. You get people who have possibly different missions than you do, and you see how you can really sort of use that mission or use where their skill sets are to make you a better organization. So our goal with the IMCP is to collaborate with 4 or 5, maybe even 6 organizations to make us better. It's all about making a difference in the channel. Our goal as a board with the IMCP is to make a difference, a significant difference, not incremental, but how do we take it from 0 to 100? And the only way you could do that is by partnering, by collaborating, and just being open to new ideas. So it's really important to keep an open mind and not have a closed mind if somebody has a new idea. But how do you take that idea and take it to the next level to enhance not only your organization, but the organization you're partnering with?
Again, Peter put it perfectly. I will just add one thing. Because actually, Peter, you actually spoke on the one thing I was going to note, which is new ideas. Don't be afraid to share your new ideas. And I'm watching the partners again put some of those barriers down for themselves when it comes to collaborating with other partners. And I mean, you know, we did not invent bread here, nor did we invent sliced bread here. Like these are, I mean, a new idea, just because you share it with another partner who you kind of know in the space enough to know has the missing ingredients, if you will. It's not like sharing a trade secret that they're going to steal from you. They love the idea because they can likely be a part of this great new idea. And there's an instant collaboration there where you're both going to benefit out of it. So I do love watching, to Peter's point, the new ideas that are kind of coming to the surface and that are coming, and you're just getting to see all of those come to light. But knowing that partners feel comfortable enough to say, hey, Kate, I know you do this really well. We've got a great idea to link onto it. Do you want to help us? Those specific asks are getting done more and more. And those are the people, to Peter's point as well, that I see are having the most rapid results back to the customer, as Peter said too. Those are the two groups collaborating that are moving faster than those who are not.
When I was at Vibe a couple of weeks ago, I did espresso shots. So those were like 10-minute coffee talk episodes where I would sit down with partners, and it was a series of maybe 20, 25 questions that I kind of asked over and over again. And there were partners there that teach in the channel. They teach at every single conference that we're at. And several of them, as I was sitting, I'm like, what is your big takeaway? And several of them said, I teach in this channel everywhere I go. I learned while I've been here for the first time. And so going back to what Peter said, and that trust, I've always believed that the currency of this ecosystem is trust. And I'm seeing that more and more in that collaboration. So let's zoom out 5 years from now. Let's put on our futuristic goggles. Where is
Right.
Microsoft Dynamics heading?
I'll let Molly go for that one first, and then I'll see if she says what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Well, I mean, honestly, my initial response from what I've been seeing, reading, hearing from Microsoft is they're coming together with other partners. Dynamics is, as you both already know and have seen, is starting to mesh and merge into the other products. And I think the goal of keeping it more all together instead of so siloed by product, I think that is we're going to see that blend more and more. Probably the scary part for a partner is I've known Dynamics BC my whole career. You're telling me I need to start learning more about Azure now? So I mean, there's a lot of that. But again, and if you don't, with all love and respect to Microsoft, if you don't just use them as your source of information and use your fellow partners, you will get wherever the goals are. Again, Kate, to your point in the beginning, Microsoft tends to throw this is where you're all going. See you there in 3 months. But it's difficult for them to handhold all of us there, of course, right? So we really have to lean on each other to get there, and not be afraid to say, I have no idea where to start with my team. That's something we saw a lot of vibe at the executive level is I don't know where to tell my team to go, and they're all looking at me, and I need to have the answer yesterday. So really just leaning on fellow partners at that executive level in particular is going to be crucial.
I think that's a great answer. The only thing I would add to that is, I think there's going to be greater specialization. And this industry goes from being a generalist to specialization, generalist specialization. And I think in 5 years, you're going to see that people are going to have a niche, and a niche of whether it's creating agents for the verticals I talked about before. And you're going to need to partner with it could be an MSP, it can be consultant, it could be system integrator, whoever that is, because in the end, it's about solving business problems. And in order to solve business problems, you need to collect all the information, whether and it's I tell my MSP, we tell people to really talk to the people in the field, talk to the customers, see where their pain points are, and see how we can solve those business problems. I think it's going to be a same thing with where we're going to be in 5 years is really understanding what the pain points are. It's all about information, getting information to the client as soon as possible, and that's where you could speak and say, show me where my greatest opportunity is in the next 3 to 6 months, and have that information come up immediately. And then, and that will be sort of the start to execute or a plan. And you want to have a plan each year and every year just to see how you can improve your business. And the people who embrace the agents, the automation, and things like that are the people who are going to be most successful.
Yeah,
Kate, how about you? Where do you think it's going? It's a great answer,
me,
Peter. Yes.
Peter, where do I think it's going?
Yes.
My answer for that would be specialization. I mean, that was kind of a follow-up question that I had is specialization. I mean, I'm an ISV, so I'm not a partner, but one of the things that we've started doing differently based on some of the feedback that we've been getting from partners is we've been creating kind of subcategories of my product to meet different industry needs. So like the GovCon solution of my product looks very different from the supply chain solution of my product. And then marketing those specific needs out more. So really taking one solution and meeting the needs. Peter, I think you just mentioned this, like meeting the client's needs at the client level. And I'm also seeing, just Molly, echoing what you said, if one partner is lacking in a skill set, they now know who to reach out to because this partner is known for this area, whatever that area may be. I mean, we could drill down to specifics, but speaking more generally, I'm seeing a lot of that. So,
Mhm.
kind of piggybacking on that description, thank you for asking me, is like the little ISP in the room. Thank you for asking me. A question for both of you: what skills will partners need that they don't fully have right now?
There are a lot. Automation. It's about creating agents within any of the AI tools that you're doing. The people who are, and I think it's lacking. I think a lot of people are just, you know, they're very comfortable doing what they've learned. If but the forward thinking people are, how can I make things more efficient?
Hmm.
How can I create automation tools? And a lot of people are not thinking about that. They're just thinking about fixing problems. And there may be a better way to fix the problem, but they're not thinking that. They're thinking, I just need to get this off my board. Whether you're an internal person or a help desk person or some other types of consultant, you're thinking about, how do I solve this in what I know, rather than going out there and really critical thinking. And critical thinking is about being comfortable not knowing, and admitting you don't know. They always say the things you don't know, and then the things that you don't know. And that's where the greatest opportunity is. And I think a lot of people don't have that comfort, don't have that confidence to really think that there's items out there that they don't even know exist, and how do they apply to that. And I think the people who are going to be successful are going to embrace AI, embrace automation, and be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
We need to put that on a t-shirt, Peter. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That
So I don't think we can talk about education without at least looking to mentorship just for a moment. So we have these younger professionals that are coming into the space right now. I mean, we've just hired 4 new people, 30 and under. And we are scaling and growing at unbelievable rates right now, which is so exciting. But we're bringing in younger professionals. What does mentorship look like in this next chapter of where we're going?
Oh boy, that is a loaded question.
Let's try to unpack it, Peter.
No, the reason I say that, and because I'm the one thing I am getting used to. I've been in the industry for 38 years now. A lot has changed in 38 years, including the people. People coming into the market right now are looking for instant gratification. They're looking for immediate results. And so if they're open to mentoring, I would say the first thing they need to learn is patience, and being patient about their career, making sure they have a good foundation, and making sure that there is that mentor. Because we're remote now, we lose a lot of that mentoringship. My first job, if I had a question, I just walked over to the next cubicle and asked the question. It was like immediate. I mean, maybe I was impatient at the time, but there was immediate answer, or I don't know, or let's figure it out together. And because of the way things are structured with remote and people not coming into the office, you lose out on I don't want to call it the water cooler conversation, but it's really about, identifying that person who is your mentor, and then going to lunch with them. I mean, just going outside the office, getting to know them as a person, getting to them to understand what your goals are, you understand what their goals are. And my first boss was an incredible boss, and that's why, where I am today is because of him. He was so much into teaching and collaborating and just sharing knowledge that, that's why I want to give back in such a way where I want to make sure we have that. I'm just concerned about the generation that is coming up into the workforce, whether they're open to that. And, because I want to make sure people learn. I want to make sure there's a commitment to, having that good foundation, rather than I want to be president of the company, or
Isn't
just
that right?
moving up too quickly. And it's not to disparage the generation, but we need to figure out a way to sort of re-educate or change the way we're educating, where it's not just mentorship, it's not just one or two things, but it's a combination of things. Empowered to learn, to understand that if they do these things, that they do have a future and the future is bright.
Yeah, Molly, do you have anything to add? I've got
So
so
I've
much to
talked a
say.
lot.
That was great. Well said, Peter. I think that what Peter's exactly right when it comes to AI, automation, all of that. The instant gratification is absolutely what that next generation is chasing. It's all they know, you guys, frankly. They've had a device in their hands since they were 2 or 3 years old, or, they know cell phones better than we ever did at, age 6. So I think that where a mentor can really come into play is building two things. One, it's professional development. That is what Peter is saying. It's getting you off of a device and meeting this way and going to lunch with someone. And honestly, just building self-confidence in those soft skills of sitting at lunch with someone. We really don't practice those anymore. So I think of that all rolled up into professional development, but there is a lack of confidence when I go to sit with my mentor, Peter, if I'm in a younger generation, and I have to put my phone down to be respectful, right? But how do I engage and how do I do the eye contact and the body language and all of that? That's really hard. And when you are in an environment, then so you're in front of clients or you're in front of your leadership as somebody who's up and coming in their career, but that was a great example, Peter. You get nervous, right? Because you just have not had the ability to really practice those skills. So I think that a mentorship or a mentor is an excellent way to work on that professional development and build some of that confidence up, especially in that face-to-face environment.
Yeah, and just to take one step further and echoing what both of you are saying, I think that having a mentor that you can trust in that like executive leadership kind of position that can come alongside. I mean, I said we have four new employees that are 30 and under, and it is like mentorship full speed at my company right now because they still look to executive leadership of what to do and how to be and how to move about in an environment and a channel that is new. But I think for all of these reasons, especially echoing what you said, Peter, with our, work from home culture is all the more reason why what both of you are doing is so imperative for the community to get involved with. For you to join your IAMCP chapter, to attend those meetings, whether they be virtual, whether they be in person, get there, get in the room, bring your younger professional with you, get in the room, listen to what is being talked about, and then executive leadership or your mentor take that a step further and say, hey, Cole, how can we apply what we just learned today? Like, let's talk about an action point conversation so it doesn't just, it starts synthesizing and sitting with us and starts changing the way that we're doing things. And Molly, what you and Liz have created for us to come together to push an email inbox aside for a moment, come in together, have those hallway conversations. We know that learning doesn't just happen through a slide deck. We know it happens in the conversations in between sessions. It happens at a bar at the end of the day when you may be having a beverage of choice. That is where learning continues to happen because a lot of times we're like, heard this thing in the session today. And then we start talking about it and we start figuring out how we can apply it. So I think, with our mentorship and I'm still being mentored. I hope I never reach a time when I'm not looking to other people older than me, more seasoned than I am. I just said on a coffee talk this week, I hope to always be the weakest link in the circle that I'm in because I want to always be pushing and growing myself and being more well-rounded and having these conversations outside of what I'm comfortable with. So I think it brings kind of our conversation full circle in the need for what both of you are doing and creating in our community.
No, I think what you said is absolutely correct. It's you never stop learning. My personal philosophy is to continue to learn? And how do I be a better person, better individual every single day? How do you improve yourself? That's my goal. And then how do you empower somebody else, whether they're young or old or whatever, and make yourself, I would say, vulnerable to a point where you're being authentic with them and saying, yeah, I'm absolutely committed to your success. I want to make sure you're successful. That's my goal. The people who work for my company, some move on because they've reached the, whatever the top is, and I can't take them to that next level and they need to move on. But there are other people who are starting from the bottom who are open to mentorship, open to all these learning opportunities. And we do really push, as part of the IMCP and my own company, the learning opportunity and give them the ability to be successful. And it's so important that there is, an IMCP, a PartnerIn. Is just so critical to incorporate that into what's out there right now, because training alone is not going to do it.
So, if someone is listening and wants to get involved with what the two of you are doing, what are next steps for them?
So, there's the imcp.org website, but there's a 90-day membership for $1. And it's a bargain. There's so much content. I gave it to somebody like a month ago, and he says, I never knew the IMCP existed, and there's really good content here. And it's out there, whether it's 3 months old, 6 months old. So, sign up, be a member of the IMCP, go to a meeting, go in person. Don't do it remotely, but go in person, meet the chapters, the chapter presidents, talk with them, and seeing whether it works for you or not. It's not for everybody, but for a lot of people out there who are struggling or just need a mentor out there, come to a meeting.
Perfect.
I would say um, the best way to find us is, of course, partnerin.io. If you're looking for our conference, that would be partnerin.io/vibe. What we have coming up in between the conferences, though, is exciting. Doing things like being a supportive hand to the IAMCP and making sure people are well connected into their local chapter. We also are working with Will Hawkins and Nancy Calder on the Frontier Readiness cohort for anyone that really does want to jump in both feet and really get themselves on that frontier partner path. So there's some intensive courses there coming up that we're excited to align with them. And yeah, I would say find us on LinkedIn. That's honestly where our voice is the most heard right now, is just our PartnerIn business page. Find us there, come ask us a question, and get ready to come. As Peter referenced earlier, come as your vulnerable self. That's the best advice that we can give anyone who's coming to anything that the three of us are working directly with, supporting, or seeing and engaging within the community in our own unique business way and personal way, is come as your vulnerable self and you will learn the most the quickest.
Well, Peter and Molly, wow, wow, wow. Thank you for having this conversation with me today. Like I said, I knew going into this that it was going to be a conversation that we needed to have, and it was going to be a moment. And I think we delivered on that. Ecosystems don't grow because of technology alone. They grow because leaders choose collaboration. All of the connections will be in the show notes for PartnerIn. I'll put a link in the show notes for IAMCP where you can find us, where you can join. And once you're a member of IAMCP, the network there is cross country. It's across the world. So you have your chapter, which is so important, but you're also connected to other members across the world. If you are able, invest in partner education. If you are listening, it is so important. Support Molly and Liz in what they're doing. Support Peter in what he's doing in IAMCP. We are better together, and we grow stronger together. Thank you so much for tuning into this Coffee Talk. This one is near and dear to me. So thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Until next time, this has been Coffee Talk. Thank you for joining us today on Coffee Talk. A special thanks to my guests for sharing their story and to you, the listener, for being a part of this conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a Monday morning chat. Until next time, I'm Kate Coffey Bacon, and this has been Coffey Talk.